Welcome back to the Aloha Life podcast. I'm Lindsay Pierce. Glad to have you with me. So today we're talking about meal planning because I promised last week when we were talking about time blocking and time management, we were going to get smarter about how much time we actually mentally give to planning our dinner because that's a lot. Sometimes that's more than it needs to be. But how about you at your house? Does dinner time feel like chaos? Or at least figuring out what for dinner is chaos. So maybe you're just kind of at 5 o'clock. Does it hit you? Oh, maybe I need to figure out what we're having tonight. I can't even tell you how often that happens here, but you're going to scramble, you're going to try to put something together, or you're going to say, fend for yourself or have some cereal, right? Is that kind of 100%? 100%. So don't worry. Like I said, you're not alone. Meal planning is something that's become a game changer in my life. So transforming those frantic evenings versus having an actual plan in advance. And let's talk about how you can make it work for your family too. So when you have a plan, the evenings are less overwhelming. Meal planning doesn't just reduce stress, but you're going to save time because you're going to only do that errand once a week versus making panicked meal decisions and you're going to go to the store each time because you're out of one or two ingredients. Or it's going to save you money because you're sticking to a budget and a grocery list and you're avoiding takeout splurges because we all know that adds up quick. And then improving our nutrition. So instead of relying on quick fixes like cereal, even though we know that's not the best nutrition, but it's there and it's available and ready. And then it can also strengthen family time. My mom wrote a great essay one time about the dinner table and what it meant in her family and how it was a gathering place and it lets you connect and be with your family. But let's be honest that we've all had those nights where we just are too tired to even think about cooking or didn't think about anything we wanted to make. So I call it soup night because I keep extra cans of soup around. Other people call it cereal night. Just a quick no prep fallback that the kids can kind of do on their own versus me. But then I'm also sitting there feeling guilty about not having anything for them to eat. So yeah, there's that whole mom guilt thing. So while there's nothing wrong with the occasional cereal night or maybe a breakfast for dinner, just having that meal plan helps make it so there's no messy default. You always have something ready to go, whether it's something you've prepped and shopped for ahead of time versus or just toss something in a crock pot. 3 o'clock is when I try to get my dinner going each night. So the beauty of meal planning lies in, creating order from chaos, knowing what you're going to have for dinner each night without the added stress of deciding what's really for dinner. And how many of us are sick of that question? So what's for dinner, Mom? Something I try to do, especially in the summer, is have my kids involved in the planning of the dinner, and they get to cook one night a week too. As long as I can make that work because of all their activities and busyness and all that. So we do what we got to. But if you're a working mom like me and you're juggling all the kids' activities and game nights and practice days and just looking for ways to streamline your evening, meal planning is what you need to do. So let's think about some benefits of meal planning. You're not going to have to think what's for dinner. It's going to be written down somewhere, maybe on a calendar, so your kids don't have to ask you what's for dinner. You can use food before it goes bad. You're not wasting. It's a reduced waste kind of thing because you're going to use it up what you buy. And it's also healthier. It's going to give you more healthy, balanced, nutritious meals instead of opting for fast food, processed things, all the easy go-tos. Not always the healthiest. So we're going to talk about some ways to make meal planning easy. And I do kind of a mishmash of all of these. So the first one is batch cooking. So this is when you take an hour or two in a week and you can make several meals at once. Some of this looks maybe like making a bunch of casseroles and putting them in the freezer. So then, on those really busy nights, all you're doing is popping those into the oven. Making a big pot of chili or soup or something just to have something ready to go for a couple other days, making extra servings of something. So what I recommend maybe is just doubling a recipe and then putting half in the freezer so that you have a quick go-to when something comes up on a day that you can't cook and put as much effort in like the first time. We also did theme nights, and so it was always, there was where we're from, there's a lot of Asian influence. We had like an Asian like stir fry kind of night, rice stir fry, something to that effect. There's always the taco Mexican Tuesdays. I always would try to do a slow cooker crock pot recipe on like the busiest night, the night I knew I could not be home. And that would be, the way that I could do this and just know that that night everyone is handled and taken care of. They just have to get to the crock pot. So themes just kind of give you a streamline and less to think about versus where to even start. So I feel like we get overwhelmed on the where to start. And then the last idea would be like a rotation menu. So you have 2 weeks worth of, everybody's 10 to 12 favorite meals because you're not cooking every night. You're going to either double batch some of those or you're going to make some leftovers, things like that. So you want to make sure that there's a little bit extra. We always have the clean out the fridge night the night before the trash comes so I can take out and clean out all the leftovers. You don't have to cook every night if you do a little bit more work on the nights that you can cook. And so once you've gotten like a 2 week rotation and you're just kind of going back and forth, you keep the same, things in your pantry and you're just rotating those out, then you can maybe add like a week 3 and week 4 and you can rotate those and just, expand those to a little bit wider range of menu options versus just the back and forth one and two things. So that just helps keep things a little more fresh and less burnout. But you get your family involved. What are their favorite meals? What are they good at helping with? And make sure they become a part of it too. So some things that you want to maybe just have around, keep around. So there's like meal prep containers. You have reusable containers ready to go, especially with those freezer meals or casseroles, things like that you can reuse over and over again. My favorite kitchen tool is a crock pot. I'm going to say it over and over again. It's at least once a week at our house because of how busy and crazy our schedules are. But then there's also a meal at home. I know some people like air fryers or Instant Pots. I don't do pressure cooked food. It doesn't do well with me, but it could work for you. And you can simplify your cooking that way too. And then there's also an app that I use called eMeals, and I have a whole article about the types of menus they offer, and then it sends, you pick out, I like to pick out 3 or 4 items from each weekly menu, and then it sends your grocery list to your local store. You can go pick it up or have it delivered, whatever works for you best. There's a lot more variety there. That way I'm not thinking of things, but I can remove the things that my family doesn't eat. No tomatoes, no mushrooms, things like that. Things that I know are not going to go well. And so it just makes it more family friendly. I like the quick and healthy menu. That's the one I like. It's under 30 minutes. And then you can try it out for yourself. I have an article so you can read that. And then that will be linked. So here's kind of what I like to do. The new menus come out every Wednesday. And so when the Wednesday menu comes out, I sit down and I look at what their options are. They give you about 5 or 6 options. I pick 3 to 4 main dishes, and then I can even add more in the grocery list so I can make an additional amount to create leftovers. But if I'm making spaghetti on Monday, I like to get a little bit extra sauce and do something different, like a baked ziti on Wednesday, because my family doesn't like leftovers and they won't eat leftovers unless there's absolutely no other options. So I'm like, you gotta clean out the fridge before I order the new stuff. So that's why Tuesday is our clean out the fridge night. But if I'm making something fresh on Wednesday, then I can use that sauce. I can I call it repurposing, because I don't know, I'm super creative, I guess. But, finding things like that. Our busiest nights are game nights. we're not here, what's here for the kids, what can they make, what are they capable of doing. My kids are older now though, so it helps that they can make their own and get themselves fed when I'm not here. But then yeah, you're shopping once a week and you're able to just have everything on hand that you need. What I like to do, I skip this step. So while I'm making the grocery list from that menu plan, I can go through my pantry and remove the things that I have on hand. Or if I'm running low, I can add a few extras and just have it for other things that we like instead of that 5 p.m. scramble. I hate that. What's for dinner time? I don't like that at all. So I want to hear what you do, what works for you. If you're new to meal planning, definitely start small. I would say get like 3 meals planned for the week and double it. And that way you're only cooking 3 times a week versus 6, 7 times a week. And then you want to add a few more meals each time. Find what your kids and your family eat. Find new recipes to explore. Get the kids involved if they're good at and older and able to do that too. You want to do that. But definitely give yourself a little bit of time and room to grow. There's still going to be nights when things happen, and we all know those are normal. So just roll with it. So yeah, this is my once a week meal planning. Doesn't have to be complicated. Doesn't have to be a time sucker. Just like preparation, right tools. You get your nights back. You can have your planning done once a week. Enjoy your time, and then you're ready for dinner. It's okay. Cereal night may still happen. You never can tell what's going to come up. Things happen. So you have your backup strategies, but it won't be more of the norm. It'll be less of the norm. It will be, yeah, more sporadic versus the norm. So yeah, hopefully that helps you. And we're going to talk next week about family routines and maybe some of our own. Whatever you want to do, let us know how you make your night times and your dinner time easier. And I will have a link for that article, and it includes a 2-week trial of eMeals. So you can try that for free without joining, and let me know what you think. I'll talk to you guys again next week.